certainly you to become a JP.
Yes.
What they do?
Okay.
All right, let me give you my image again. A JP don't look like you. He's wearing gray beard and, he's a little more elderly, if you may. What's the stipulation to becoming a JP?
Under the new Justice of the Peace Act of 2018, the age has been removed to 23, and that's at the discretion of the custos of the parish. If he or she thinks that person is qualified and suitable and responsible enough, the custos can appoint that person as a JP. So the age is 23 and it goes up to age 70. So up to age 70, you can apply to become a JP. Under the new act, you can apply for yourself. There's a form that you can download from the ministry's website, or if you get it from the custos's office, the custos of each parish. You complete the form. There are requirements for fingerprints to be done, a police report, recommendations from 2 persons, including a JP, and you make your application. You are interviewed by a panel comprising of the custos, the superintendent for the parish, and other persons. And from there, if you are selected, then you go into training. There is a training period that you go through, the acts, the responsibilities, your duties, and after that, you are commissioned if you are successful in your training and your exams.
How long is this training?
The process takes about 3 months.
3 months. So what is it that you go through? Give me a...
But as I said, you go through the acts, the JP Act, the JP Jurisdiction Act.
Clause by clause.
Yes.
What does this mean?
It means what your responsibilities are, your duties, both ways. Your duties to the public, your duties as a result of your conduct, your deportment, what you do, what you don't do. You'd also do protocol and ethics. It's a wide-ranging course.
Okay.
And after which you are, if you're successful, you're commissioned.
Big question. Are you given an exam?
Yes, you are. As I said, you get an exam based on what you're taught, and if you're successful, then you're commissioned.
Is the success based on the success in the exam, or you can still pass and not be?
You can pass the exam, you can be successful at everything that you do, and if, for instance, information surfaces that you're not a fit and proper person, then you can be trained and still not commissioned.
Okay, so.
That's the prerogative of the custos of the parish.
To what extent antecedents, your background checks, are done, and to how deep do they drill down on that?
Well, it's not very intense, but however, as I said, the fingerprint is done, and that will tell you if you have a criminal record, if you've been involved in anything. Even if you had a case that has not been completed or was discharged, your records were taken, it would come up. And then they also, as I say, you're interviewed by a panel, including the superintendent from your area and other persons who, if something adverse would be come to light, yes, then it would be looked at
in the
seriously in the whole context of this.
Yes. Question, you say in your area.
Yes.
But my understanding is that there are JPs for Kingston and St. Andrew, and there are JPs for St. Andrew alone. Is that so?
You have a custos for St. Andrew, that's Honorable Patricia Dunwell, and there's a custos for Kingston, that's Honorable Custos Tedmond Fuller.
Okay.
So Kingston and St. Andrew are separated. You have two different custodies.
Okay. Do it consequently separate the types of JPs, and where do you serve, where you do have your remit?
Okay, you serve for your parish. However, under the JP Act of 2018, you're a JP for the entire island of Jamaica. So once you're a JP, you can act on the entire island of Jamaica. It breaks parish boundaries now. However, if you're a lay magistrate assigned to the court, you can only adjudicate in matters that concern your parish.
Hold on, you just knocked me off my feet a while ago. So a JP is not limited to a geographical area. You're a JP for the, you're a JCF, you're a JCF for the entire parish. You're a JP.
Entire island, yes, no.
But that begs the question, therefore. People always say that you have to know the person. But
yes,
you can't know so much people.
That is why the new minister, Chuck, has been advocating to have the ratio between JPs and persons in an area to be increased so that you can get to know your JP. Now, any justice of the peace can witness a document. John Brown comes to you and said, I have this paper to take to NHT or to the Student Loan Bureau, and I'd like it witnessed by a JP. Now you present your ID and it is witnessed. You can do it for anybody, whether you know them or not, because you're witnessing a signature. However, if Tom Brown from Timbuktu comes to me and said, I would like my passport signed, I said, look at this clause here. It says, how long have I known this person?
Yes.
I said, I don't know you. I cannot sign the form for you because I have to know, impugn myself to say that I've known you for 4 years or 5 years when I don't. So you have to go to a justice of the peace who knows you or a minister of religion that knows you for you to sign that form. I won't sign it. Likewise with a passport, with a driver's license form, because it asks for a period of time in which you have known the person, and if you don't, you should not sign it.
Question. So there's a role of being a witness that you can sign.
Sign, yes.
Because the other documentations have already been
yes.
verified.
And you have ID to verify that this is John Brown and whatever.
That's right.
It is. Yes.
So I can have somebody who I know need the service of a JP and say, boy, based on my antecedents, based on who you know, that I'm upstanding citizen of this country, could you sign this on his behalf?
And my response would be, I know you, but I don't know the person you're bringing. And I am the one who have to know the person, not you.
How long a period of time would you have to know this person?
At least a year.
At least a year.
Yes.
So somebody who is young, who really don't know nobody yet, you know, in a remote part of Jamaica,
that's why we're trying to expand the amount of JPs. The minister is trying to expand the amount of JPs that are around, that exist. Now, if it's a minor, if it's someone under 18, and you know the parent, you're allowed to sign the form. Because when it comes to a minor, it is not the minor that you sign the form for, it's the parent. You put that you know the parent. And that is why persons under 18 cannot apply for passports for themselves. Their parents have to be the one who give consent for them to have a passport. And the JP signs not that they know the child, but that they know the parent.
Very well. Hold on that note for me. We're going to take a break. When we come back, he makes a distinction between a JP and a lay magistrate. What on earth is that? We'll be right back on Insight. Welcome back to Insight. Our special guest, Justice of the Peace, lay magistrate Kenneth Shaw. Sir, what's the distinction between a JP and a lay magistrate?
Okay. Lay magistrates are all JPs. You have to become a Justice of the Peace before you can become a lay magistrate. A lay magistrate is a Justice of the Peace who has been selected by the custos of a parish to sit at court. Originally, you'd call it the Petty Sessions Court. Now it's the Lay Magistrates Court. Okay. Because as they say, there's nothing petty about justice. So, yes, so it has been amended in the 2018 Justice of the Peace Act amendment. So they're now called Lay Magistrates. It's the Lay Magistrates Court. It's no longer the Petty Sessions Court.
Okay. I wonder what the lay is for, since they took away the petty, you know.
Well, it's a lay magistrate, meaning you have your judge, you have the parish magistrates, and it's a lay magistrate. So you're not a trained judge, but you sit at court, so you're a lay magistrate.
Okay, and you judge people?
Yes. A panel of 3 normally sits together, 3 justices of the peace. You have a head of the panel and 2 other JPs that sit.
So it's not you in your kingly, with your kingly character?
You can sit alone if the litigants agree that there's only one person and they wish to proceed. Yes, it can happen that way as well.
Okay, and that's taken care of in the act. Help me, the lay magistrate, formally petty session, what small matters, like what?
Okay, you have things like resisting arrest, disorderly conduct.
We usually call it a bad word.
Yes, voluminous language.
Voluminous.
Yes.
No, hear that big word?
Yes.
Voluminous.
Yes.
Can you look it up?
Indecent or voluminous language.
Yes.
Okay. Threat.
Yes, threats.
Yes, threat. Within community, people threaten each other. Look, Gallop, if you come back in front of him, I'll kill you or what, that sort of thing. Yes, so there's threats. you have resisting arrest, you have disorderly conduct, you have failure to move and move on. For instance, the police might be in half a tree conducting an operation, ask people to move, and they stand.
I give you a lawful order, you don't obey that.
So
then I can
lawful order
ticket
for
you, or what happens?
No, you're arrested and charged, you get bail, and you go to court. Yes.
Okay. Help me with the sessions now. Can it be appealed? If I'm found guilty, for example, can I appeal?
Any sentence can be appealed, yes. That's allowed under the law, yes.
But it would it be the regular appeal court, or there is a lay magistrate appeal?
It would be the regular appeals, yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's a decision in the court. It's in the court log, the court diary, in the magistrate's diary, so it can be appealed, yes.
What?
But I've never heard an appeal at the lay magistrate's level.
Okay,
no.
just
So the fines are normally punitive. The fines were normally $1,000, $2,000, or 1 month, or 2 months, 3 months in prison. Recently, with the retabling of the act, those fines have been increased significantly to $25,000 and $50,000. People normally scoff at the fines because they'd come to court. Me not guilty, but me just pay the $1,000. That sort of behavior. Now, with the increase in the fines, things will change. It has not been implemented as yet because there are other amendments that need to be done for the effective date to take place. But all that is in the process at the moment with the ministry, at the ministry level.
Okay. Fines increase under the 2018 Act.
Yes.
But is it going the same route that it will, with time, that too will be overcome and make to $50,000 looking?
Well, if you resist arrest or you're disobeying the police or whatever, and you have to pay $25,000 or $50,000, I mean, it is significant. So I guess people will desist from trying to do so.
Okay, and that's a kind of suggestion that is coming, resisting arrest.
All the other
Columinous
language.
Columinous language, 50,000.
Assault in the police.
But that wouldn't be in the magistrate. Assaulting the police?
Assaulting the police is in that level as well, yes.
It's in that level?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that would have been a criminal.
But it is a court of law just the same.
Yes.
Now, with the increase in roles of the justice of the peace and the recent acts that have been passed, for instance, you have, as I said, the DNA Act, you have the Zozo Act, you have the Committal Proceedings Act, which basically abolished the preliminary hearings, and you move to a committal proceeding. It speeds up the process between the arrest, the charge, and the trial. Okay. So with those, the JPs now play a larger role in putting all of this together.
How? Help me.
Okay, for instance, with the DNA Act, we have to be there for the samples to be taken.
Okay, so that makes it no question about that.
Yes.
Okay.
For the Zozo Act,
the zones of special operation.
Yes. The Justice of the Peace, or the lay magistrate, is the first interface that the detainees will have with the justice system. Once the Prime Minister declares a zone of special operations and the police move in, and they have now detained persons who they think are probably violence producers or persons of interest, and they're detained, the first stage is for them to be taken before a lay magistrate for them to determine whether they should be detained or not.
Who makes that determination whether they should be taken in front of the police?
It's automatic. The Act says once you're detained, within 24 hours, you are to be taken in front of a lay magistrate, a justice of the peace, and in that act, the justice of the peace speaks to a lay magistrate, someone who sits in court.
Yes.
So you have a wider knowledge, a wider understanding of the law and how the system works.
Yes.
And at that point, they will say, well, based on information, John Brown is detained, and we think he should be held further because X, Y, and Z. If the lay magistrate agrees with the police, he will say, yes, this person is, we agree that the person should be detained, and they are now held. Within 24 hours of that process, they are to be taken before a parish judge to further determine what happens to them. So the first interface is with the justice of the peace, the lay magistrate, and then it goes to the parish judge. That's the next stage.
Okay. And you can determine whether they should be released or not from the lay
If
magistrate?
yes, you can. The justice of the peace or the lay magistrate might say to the officer, well, inspector or superintendent, based on the information you have here, I don't think that this person should be detained further. Now, the police, however, have the final say, because they can decide, well, justice, you're telling me rubbish, you know, and I'm going to still hold the person. At that point, the justice doesn't, or the lay magistrate doesn't argue with the police. What he does, he'll make a note of it, and he'll inform the customers of the parish that this is what transpired, and from there, it's taken from there.
Okay, but where is that put? I mean, I come in as a cop to you, and you say, well, Mr. Sharp, I think you're not holding this person on good grounds. And I'm like, big man, I'm mid the road, you know. You know, face the seat like me know this future. And you send that on to the custos.
Yes. Who will take it up now with the head of the ground commander for the Zozo, and it goes from there.
Okay.
Moves to a different level.
Okay, all right. So all the way turns out that the ground commander may agree or disagree.
And at that point, they might see your wisdom when you take the next, or they might give further information as to why they think it was so, and then it will stand.
Okay, okay. Yes. The transition, and that's what I'm calling it, from a JP to a lay magistrate. What's that? Is there more training?
Yeah, there is more training.
What goes on?
Before you go to court to sit and to adjudicate, you have a comprehensive training program at the Justice Training Institute. That's where they further train clerk of the courts and that sort of persons.
Okay.
So you go to the Justice Training Institute and you go through a 3-month program as well that gives you different aspects of the law. They are they are records, so you do actual court.
You go into the courts.
You go to the court and see what happens.
Okay.
And you also in-house in the class training do
yes, role
playing as to what happens in court and that sort of thing. So
okay.
yes.
Who are the trainers?
The trainers are normally retired judges or attorneys at laws who have senior attorneys at laws who have retired who assist with the process.
Yes, yes. Let me just ask a thing right off the bat. They treat you guys as wannabe judges, or just...
No, we're giving our due recognition, because we are a part of the justice system, the entire justice system, and we do it voluntary. We are not paid to do it.
You do it voluntary?
It's all voluntary. All JP work is voluntary.
Hold on. I thought the JP work was voluntary, but the lay magistrate work is voluntary as well?
It's also voluntary. You sit, yes. It's giving back to the society.
Giving back to the society, but it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time. It's consuming, yes.
Yes. You operate in Gordon Town.
Yes, I sit at Gordon Town Court. That court was remodeled and reopened a little over a year and a half ago. So I sit at Gordon Town and at Halfway Tree, yes.
Question. We always hear about cases overload. What is the situation in the lay magistrates' courts? What are the numbers? Are we behind? Are we getting on top of the situation?
No, we're not. We're quite on top of the situation. We have been working assiduously to do so. We try to get the cases out as quickly as possible. And in matters where we see it's going nowhere, or we see where it might need intervention, they're normally referred to probation officers. Sometimes you might have family disputes that go on 2, 3, 4 years, that for years, 10, 20 years, and animosity, and we're allowed to refer them to the Dispute Resolution Foundation or to the probation office, and a lot of these matters are sorted out quickly. So you come to court, we realize that there's an underlying issue, we refer it for mediation, and by the time they come back to court, the matters are normally settled between the parties, or we move to trial. But most of the times, we get it out of there quickly.
Well, let me just press you a little bit on that. What's the average? You know, I assault a policeman. I plead not guilty. I was defending. He was roughing me up, and I you know, eased him off with my foot. I've gone to somebody recently. How long would that case take?
It depends. It can be finished on the first trial date, or if all the parties are present. Sometimes the officer might not come, so you might have to be subpoenaed, or probably the witness, the defendant mightn't be present for one reason or another. You'd issue a warrant to have them arrested, and sometimes you also estreat the bond. Estreating the bond would mean the person who bailed the person, they would arrest them as well to take them to court, because once you bail someone, it is your responsibility to ensure that they come to court.
We're going to hold the bail part for later because you use this fan word X-Street. That's T-R-E-A-T?
S-Street, E-S-T-R-E-A-T.
Okay.
So you, or you revoke the bond. That's what
You revoke the bond.
bail,
You're
yes.
no longer
Yes.
bailing the person or the court.
The court revoke the bond so that the person who bail you has now the responsibility to pay that bond or be locked up.
Is there a lot of people not coming to these sessions because they think it's, it's a lay magistrate?
Most of the times they do. We have probably 70-80% attendance.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right, on that number, we'll take a break and bail ourselves out of this until the next session, and we'll be right back on Insight. Welcome back to Insight. We're taking some insightful look, if you may, on what it is and what are your responsibilities as a justice of the peace, a lay magistrate, the expanding roles of these, the need for more, the jurisdiction that they now have or will soon have to be island-wide, and more anon. But the issue of JPs who you say is voluntary.
Yes, it is.
But it is well known and well established that while there is no fee structure, JPs expect you to leave a tip.
It's not expected, and it is not permissible. It's not allowed under the JP Act. With the amendments to the JP Act 2018, that was also addressed. JPs are not supposed to charge, and the custos of each parish has a lot more teeth with the new act for dismissals, for revoking seals, and for revoking commissions. Normally it was a very lengthy process. Now the custos can right away call in a JP who she has information or it's been reported or they have done a sting operation and caught them charging money, and their seals are revoked right away and they move into decommissioning. So the new JP Act actually gives a lot more teeth to the custos, so she can act and decommission JPs. He or she can decommission JPs who run afoul of the law or of the Act.
JPs ought not to charge any money at all?
No, they're not allowed to charge, no. Not supposed to charge.
Most people don't know that.
Well, no, they do.
That's a scenario that is so widespread out there. That's almost like a culture, that a donation is expected. $200 or $500, and these are reality.
It's not expected. There's a lot of persons, when you offer them, people offer them, they say, no, we're not allowed to, and it goes there. So I guess you have it working both ways.
Is there retraining for JPs?
Yes. Then again, the new Act of 2018, the Act was very comprehensive, and it tried to regularize a lot and to correct a lot of the anomalies that existed before. Because under the new Act, JPs are mandated to do at least 2 refresher courses, 2 courses per year. And also, at the end of the year, JPs are now required to submit their logbooks. Logbooks are now required for JPs to keep notes, logs, of whatever they sign, documents that they sign, all the services that they provide to the public. So you make a log of that, a note of it, and that logbook can be requested by the custos of each parish at the end of the year to see what you have been doing. Okay. So JPs who have not done anything at all will now run afoul of the system, because based on that, the custos can also decommission you for not doing any work as a JP.
But suppose they don't come to me.
Pardon me?
Suppose people don't come to me. What can I be proactive as a JP?
You can, because people in your area, they're supposed to know that you're a JP. You're supposed to go to all the community meetings, that sort of thing. There's neighborhood watch meetings, the youth club meetings, so that people know you're a JP, so that they can come to you when they have documents to be signed and everything. So besides persons trying to know you, you have to get to know your community, so that you can be effective in your community. So automatically, if something happens down the road, they say, come JP, there's a war down the road here, you come and solve this. So that is what the whole thrust is, to get the JPs involved in the communities that they live, in the areas that they live, so that the people know them, so that they know the people, so that peace, harmony, and then they can also provide their services to the public or to the area that they live.
I'm going to throw this one at you. JPs are better if they're rich. It's better if a JP
Well,
is
you
rich.
know, when the JPs were first commissioned way back in England in the days, they were to assist the governors and the magistrates in the area to keep the peace, and they were normally persons of resource.
Yes.
Down the line, things have some, even in Jamaica, earlier in the days, it was normally the wealthy persons in the area, the landowners, the shop owners, that sort of persons, the teachers, the principals, people who were of some resource that were used as just
Because it begs a question,
Yes.
what is in it for a person who is not of sound means, if you may, to give up your time, and time is money, to go out to these group meetings, to not to charge, not to take a...
And there are a lot of other roles, because, for instance, you assist the police a lot. The police can come to you, you sign or you give permission for the police when you're commissioned as a JP to come to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, wake you up to sign a document.
What's in it for you?
Okay, giving service to your community.
Giving service.
For instance, JPs, we're working with the police, we actually do lockup visits. In each parish, the custos assigns justice of the peace to visit all the lockups in each parish. And they go once per month and they visit the lockup, they do a visiting report that's submitted to the custos, who then forwards it to the Ministry of Justice so they know what is happening in each lockup.
Okay.
So you have regular scheduled lockup visits. Besides that, in the station, JPs assist with question and answers. They assist with ID parades. They assist with as I said, with the Committal Proceeding Act. They witness all the statements being taken from the prisoners and by the prisoners, and the statements by officers as well, which goes to court as part of the case files. As I said, they do the lockup visits. We also do prison visits once per year. The custos normally takes justice of the peace.
Prison, make the
To
distinction.
the prisons, yes.
Yeah,
To
the prisons
as
now,
well.
that's
The
under
penal
the
institution.
warders,
Yes.
lockups under the
So
police.
we do all of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And as I said, it is all voluntary.
All voluntary.
Yes.
There must be some reward in there in your soul.
Yes, it is. It's gratifying.
It's gratifying.
Yes. Now, going into the lockups, you do a lot of work because persons are on bail. Some of them don't know the process for getting bail. So you normally call their family sometimes. It costs you because you call the family to tell them, well, they're on bail, it's for $200,000. What are you doing? Because they want to get out. Sometimes the family members want them to stay. Other times they say they didn't know what the process was. So now we guide them through the process.
Okay.
Okay, and then they get their bail.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, let's go to bail, because you mentioned earlier that when you bail someone, you have taken on a
Awesome responsibility.
What are the responsibilities that you have taken on when you bail someone?
Okay. When you bail someone, for instance, I'm on a charge for assaulting someone. I'm on a $100,000 bail. I go and present proof that I'm worth $100,000, so I will bail Michael.
Question, I don't want to come with $100,000.
You can, but you don't have to know.
Okay.
You can use your bank statement,
Okay.
and they hold that funds, or you can use your motor car, or a land title, or a house title, whatever it is, to show that you have the value.
Yes.
Now, once you bail that person, it is your responsibility to ensure that the person goes to court at every sitting. Ideally, you should actually go with them or take them to court. Because the day that they do not go to court, if the judge decides to issue a warrant for that person for failure to come into court, and they want to revoke the bond or estreat the bond, then you're automatically in problems, because the police will now come for you, arrest you, and take you to court.
So revoking the bond, that bail bond,
Yes.
means that they'll lock me up,
Yes,
keep me
they do.
behind bars.
They put you behind bars. A bailiff will come for you, and now you'll owe bailiff fees as well as the amount of money that the bond was for.
Okay. So
Because-
that's a term they say you abscond.
No.
Is that it? That's different?
No, that's different. When you abscond is when the defendant doesn't go to court, and he doesn't go back. He has run away from the case, so he has absconded bail.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you're talking about is
the
different.
person who bailed you
Okay. Okay.
is the person that they also lock up, because your responsibility signing that bail bond was to ensure that the person you bailed comes to court.
Can at any time I say, I don't want to have that responsibility
Yes, you can.
anymore.
If you bail someone and you wish to no longer do that, hold the bond, you can take the person to the station with you and tell them that, well, I no longer wish to be the surety for John Brown. And at that point, the police will arrest the person, and you can find someone else to bail the person.
Okay. But for me to get this person to come with me, the likelihood, because me and him would have fall out. I'm saying, oh, Bridget, me can't be your surety anymore because we are deal with
If the person doesn't come with you, you go to the station and you explain to the officer that you are now surrendering the bond, you no longer wish to be the surety for the person. They will at that point go and look for the person and arrest them and relieve you of the responsibility of the bond.
What if I don't know where the person is?
Well,
and I come and say, listen, I cannot trap this man. I want to let go.
Once you bail someone, it is your responsibility to know where the person is.
So up to the point of me coming to the officer,
you're supposed to know.
I'm responsible for that person.
Individual. You are the surety for that person until the case is completed, yes.
Or until they pick him up or her.
No, until the case is completed.
No, I'm talking about when I relieve myself.
Yes.
In other words, I'm done with it, but John Brown is down the lane.
So you have to find them, or you have to tell them where the person is. So
and when they said, boom.
Then you're relieved of your responsibility.
Or if it's a seamless one where I'm going to foreign,
yes.
I can say, listen, I am moving on. Here's this brother who will take over the bail responsibility. It can be done nicely.
It can be done that way, yes.
Nicely like that.
Yes, it can be done that way.
It's a little scary there. The summons you mentioned, what's the summons different from a subpoena? You said
okay, a summons is you commit a crime and the police issue a summons for you to come to court. A subpoena is someone who doesn't come to court. The court will now subpoena the person that you must come to court on the 30th, which is the next date for the matter. And if you don't come at that point, then they'll issue a warrant to lock you up.
Okay, so subpoena is kind of stronger than a summons?
A summons is when the case is, when someone is charged, the summons is for you to come to court for the first time.
Yes. The subpoena is
subpoena is when you're attending court and being absent from court, they issue a subpoena for you to come to court.
Okay, very well.
Now the subpoena doesn't arrest you.
Oh.
It is just a notice that court is on X day, ensure that you come to court.
Okay.
Because if you don't come to court, now a warrant will be issued to lock you up.
All right, very well. And we're going to arrest this section, come back with the other section, summons him, subpoena him, because he's going to have to tell us, what on earth is he? Why did he go here in terms of being a JP and a lay magistrate? We'll be right back on Insight. And welcome back to Insight. JP, lay magistrate, businessman, would have to say working for free for the state, if you may, is Kenneth Shaw. Kenneth, what brought you to this? When did you become this? What got into your headspace? You're a businessman, you could be making much more money. What's going on?
Yes, being a JP sometimes impact on your regular livelihood because, for instance, I sit as a lay magistrate. I assist the Custos' office with co-chairing the lockup committee, which supervises all the lockups of the parish. I also assist with the supervision of the lay magistrate system. So it's very time consuming. Thank God for very good staff because I'm allowed to be free while my staff,
do the work.
And I work at night, so sometimes I work until 1, 2 o'clock in the mornings just to make up,
That's right.
for what, yes.
Yes.
So yes, it's challenging, but it's something that I love, I have a passion for. It's giving back, and sometimes when you see you help these persons who are less fortunate sometimes, it's gratifying, the love that the outpouring of love and appreciation. It is
Okay.
You know.
All right, let's lay the foundation then. Now that we understand what motivates you, that self-fulfillment of if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living will. All right, okay, I got that. So, where were you born?
I was born in Kingston. I'm a Kingstonian.
In Victoria Jubilee or?
Victoria Jubilee Hospital, yes.
GHS, okay.
And that's almost 55 years ago.
Almost, there you go. And there I thought you were 23, being one of the youngest GPs.
No.
Well, never mind.
Way past the 50 mark.
Past the 50 mark. Who are your parents? Where do you? What are your values? Do you have other siblings?
Yes, I do.
Let us get into your life.
I have 2 brothers and I have 2 sisters.
Okay.
I have a brother and a sister from my father's first marriage.
Yes.
And my mother, they have three kids.
Okay.
I'm the eldest of my mother's children.
Okay, good. The big boy. Big boy.
Went to Wilmers, went to UTech, did business administration.
No, before you went to Wilmers and UTech, there must have been a little school you went to.
Mablesville Preparatory School, yes.
Where's that?
That's in Vineyardtown, Nightingale Avenue.
Nightingale.
Yes.
See, I like to start from there, because
so it was you had Vaz and you had Mablesville at the time, which were the sister schools. Yes.
So how well did you do at Mablesville?
I did well. I was valedictorian. Yes.
Yeah.
I went on to Wilmers.
Well, is that a high or a low when you went on to Wilmers?
It wasn't a high.
I'm attacking you as a Calabar man, you understand? So,
I get what I get.
well, you see, they even confuse you with strange language.
Yes.
How well did you do at Wilmers?
I did very well. I graduated, went to UTech where I did, it was no cast at the time.
That's right.
I went to EXED first.
EXED,
and
yes.
did this BEC program, the business administration, and I went on to cast at no UTech.
Yes. And did what?
Business administration.
Business administration.
And majored in accounting.
Yeah. Okay. And you went on and to own your own business?
No, I actually left there and went. My first job was at the SRC, the Scientific Research Council.
Yes.
I was actually the junior accountant there and moved up to senior accounting officer. And so that's where my thing there was. Back in those days, Ronald Irvin was the Minister of Science and Technology. Yes.
Dr. Ronald Irvin. He was the RJR's doctor.
Yes.
Understand that? Yes. So I would have seen him. Yes. What's where this maths thing came from?
I really didn't like maths, but I liked accounts.
How you work out that?
Well, I don't know, but that was it. Yes. I'm always working with figures. I remember at the SRC, I was the payroll officer. And even after leaving there 10, 15, 20 years, the people would call me, they give me my pension, and Mr. Shaw, I trust you, Can you just check it for me, please, if it's still correct?
Yes.
20 years after I left there.
I like that. Is it true that accountants and things are not nice people? They're dull, you come to them and you're pressuring me, and
no, we're nice, we're fabulous people.
That was a paid announcement. So in terms of your own business now, you keep an eye on the books and the numbers.
Yes, I do. I'm the chief financial officer of my company, and then I have my auditors that do all the work. Accountants that work with me. Yes.
Okay, you care to say what the company is that you do? It's a free plug for you now.
Well, I am CAX Auto Sales and Service. I'm a used car dealer. I used to be the president of the Used Car Dealers Association for about 12, 14 years.
There you go. And they kicked you out of office.
No, I actually decided one day, I tell you what, let someone else do it. So I didn't seek re-election, and Ian Lynn at the time became the next president.
Yes, I remember him, yes. The values that cause you to say you want to help.
Yes.
The desire for you to say, listen, let me do something with my life as it relates to interfacing. What that came from?
I grew up in a very close-knit family, Christian family. Mm-hmm. My mom worked at Stanley Motor. She was one of the managers at Stanley Motor back in the days.
Okay.
Stanley Motor, photography,
Yes.
My father was at the Supreme Court for years. He was a clerk at the Supreme Court for years.
Okay, so you're kind of into
I was always in the system.
Thing.
After leaving school, I had sometimes go down to the Supreme Court. So Daddy was there, and in those days they wore these big gowns and whatever.
Yes.
Both parents are still alive. They actually live in Ocho Rios.
Oh,
yeah, they retired from Kingston and went to Ocho Rios.
Say hi. Normally we say send greetings, right?
Yes.
But Ocho Rios, not a bad town at all. St. Anna, fabulous parish, if you ask me. Which church was this?
Well, we went to the Church of Christ in Mona. That's the old Mona Cinema. Yes.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
We went to well, when I was at Mablesville, we went to Maranatha. That's Maranatha Gospel Assembly, yes.
Oh,
and then we moved to the Church of Christ, yes.
is it the same denomination type?
No, it's different.
Yeah, because
slightly different.
Maranatha is brethren.
Brethren, yes.
You come to me, you know, you talk about my background, right? So you move from the straight-laced brethren to a little more relaxed
atmosphere. Yes.
Yes. So you went to school. You did accounts. But what's your other interest? You don't into sports?
Yes, I used to do racing. I used to motorsports, the SRLs back in the days.
Yeah, you usually see on the streets driving.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yes. Used to love racing. And all the pretty cars and, yes.
Yeah. So where did that take you in terms of, did you become competitive?
Really, not really too competitive, yes. But I was with Team Suzuki at one point, with Richard Stewart, Duncan Stewart, back in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay. And the love for
going to Dover and all that sort of thing.
Love for fast machines still in your heart?
When I was young, I said when I grew up, I must have back in those days, I had the Mustangs and the Mach 2s with the big tires.
That's right.
I was totally fascinated. But then growing up, those became things of the past, So we just, evolved.
A lot of people want Jaguar when they grow big, and then when they see what the Jaguar look like now, they're like, no, it don't look like Jaguar anymore. So we him there. All right, so you brought yourself into about 3 years ago, you say, as a JP?
No, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. How did that happen? What's the process?
At the time, I think it was Custis Harding had just become Custis.
Okay.
And I knew her well, and she said to me, well, why not become a JP? I said yes, and we went through the process, and I became a JP. Okay.
And why a lay magistrate?
Well, after becoming a JP, I was asked, normally you're asked which area you wish to serve in. You have the lay magistrate court, you have the lockup visits, you have different areas. And I picked for a lay magistrate. So I was trained, and subsequently I was assigned to court, and that's where it all started. Okay.
How regular do you sit?
Okay. I sit normally once per month.
Okay.
JPs for Kingston sit on a Tuesday and on a Thursday. Okay. For St. Andrew, because there are more cases, we sit on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So someone will sit on a first Monday, then somebody will sit on a second Monday, so it's rostered that way.
Oh, you have
So a lot of JPs are normally, nobody's really burdened. The work is spread.
Okay. Are you familiar with the name Norma Brown Bell?
Yes, Norma Brown Bell is also a JP and a lay magistrate.
I know.
But she's a Kingston JP.
Ah.
Yeah, she's not a St. Andrew. But she's my very good friend. So we sat on boards together and that's all.
Where's the jurisdiction in terms of Kingston and St. Andrew?
Geographic, Kingston and St. Andrew.
Kingston, where would you sit, for example? Where physically, where would that court?
The court is held at Alfred Tree, but the matters are the matters that happen in Kingston. In the parish of Kingston.
Same local, different. It's like Parliament. The Senate and the House sit in the same place.
Yes, sometimes you might find that in Arrow, they might assign an incident happened in Kingston to a St. Andrew court. When the case is read out that, okay, on the 5th day of September, it is alleged that on King Street, you did slap a police officer in the head. The clerk will just say, but
King Street is Kingston.
King Street is Kingston, Your Worship. So this matter has to be handled by a Kingston panel, at which time we'll adjourn the matter and set a mention date on a Kingston day. So that's how it works.
Question which court sees it is determined by where the incident occurred, not where you live.
As I said, for a lay magistrate, your jurisdiction is the parish in which you are allocated to serve.
Yes.
So a Kingston justice cannot adjudicate on a matter that happened in St. Andrew and vice versa. However, you're a JP for the entire island. But it's just when you're sitting in court, your jurisdiction is for the parish to which you're assigned to your custos.
Okay, so you're kept within a geographical boundary as a lay magistrate,
yes.
But with a JP you have
jurisdiction
national boundaries,
yes.
no boundaries.
No boundaries, no.
Okay, but what's the strength of that, for having no boundaries? Because what can you
prior
really...
to now, for instance, I might know someone in Montego Bay, and sign their driver's license form.
Yes.
And then when they go to the examination depot in Montego Bay, they say, but this was signed by a Kingston JP. But you see, you have to sign somebody who knows you. So that is it.
So they remove that mischief.
Yes. That hurdle, that barrier is no longer there.
Okay. Do you get hard cases? Do you get cases that you're like, oh my God, what's this?
Sometimes, and they drag on and on. I remember some time ago I had a trial matter involving about 12 persons that went on for almost a year because everyone had to give evidence and witnesses and da-da-da. So yeah, sometimes it can be tedious. You do a lot of writing because, you know, in court, if you watch court on TV, you see the judge is always writing.
Yes.
Because everything the witness says or the defendant or the accused say, you have to write. So sometimes it's onerous on the pen and on the fingers.
You don't have the stenographers in there?
No, you don't. The clerk does her writing, but the judges also have to write the information down for further reference.
Okay, and you listen to the arguments. Let's take the 12 persons. You listen to the various arguments. It may very well be a panel of 3.
Sure, yes.
So you have 3 lay magistrates writing.
And then, yes.
Are you taking notes? Some people might leave out this part in there, but the other person can catch up.
Yes.
So you come together and
then decide, yes.
What is this?
Yes, you do. Sometimes you might adjourn the matter, and you go in chambers, and then you say, well, based on this, and this, the person is guilty or not guilty, and then you come out united. Decision of the panel is that you are guilty or you're not guilty.
You don't always have to be united. I mean, what happens in a case?
Well, if you're not united, probably 2-1 majority would rule, like in a regular jury case. The majority would.
The majority would rule. Would you, like in a Court of Appeal case, Supreme Court, where you can say, well, a minority report. You know, I did not.
Well, you see, that is why it's important to write the notes, because if the matter was to ever go to appeal, you would have your information, your notes would be there.
So you have to keep all of these notes
filed away? You have to file your keep them all.
Because it may very well come back.
Yeah, and that's why the logbook again is important, because once you log on the 3rd day of June, I witnessed an ID parade where John Brown was pointed out and When that happens and the matter goes to court, if it's a murder case, for instance, you actually have to go to the circuit court and give evidence in court that you were there and you did witness the taking of the ID parade or a statement or whatever. So it is far-reaching, because although you take the statement and you witness the statement and you witness the ID parade, you sometimes have to go to court now to give evidence that you did do it, because you're summoned by the court, by the DPP's office, to go to court to give evidence. Yes.
All right. All the best to you, son. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
And may justice be served.
Thanks.
And that's it for Insight this week. And until next time, Michael Sharp wishing you pleasant viewing.